Today it's a Wednesday, so I'm just going to be simply following. I'm going to be simply following the next objective that I have, and it is to today I'm going to be learning and applying the information from genetic algorithms, and the genetic algorithm I have right now is from Daniel Schiffman, Coding Train, from YouTube, and I just want to jump right into this. If you want to know any of the context about what I'm doing, please follow the last video. Whatever it is I called it, I think it's number 37, so it's going to be number 36. There's a lot more context as to why I'm doing what I'm doing right here. So I'm jumping right into it. Genetic algorithm involving Shakespeare. Yeah, when we run it, there was something that I wanted to do yesterday, and there is no particular thing that I want to explore. There are a bunch of things that there are a few things that I explored in depth yesterday, and I'm curious. Oh yeah, okay, population, that's what I was doing yesterday. Trying to figure out what population was and what is being stored within the population class. Going to the population class, I'm curious, I'm glad I filled up my water. I do not need this. Yeah, I don't need this piece of paper. But I do need to shred it. So I didn't want to just put it to the side. I might as well have just dealt with it right then and there. Okay. Mutation rate, population. Okay. So population DNA, I'm assuming that it's giving the DNA function or class as well. So I need to, and it is. That's what it's doing. Okay. Oh, it's so simple when you're doing it this way. To explain what's going on in my mind right now, population, I was trying to figure out what population was doing behind the scenes. Because when there's population.natural selection, population.generate, population.calcfitness, population lowercase, and I can even change this to just POPs, so we can pop or pollute, or not pollute, but just something that's different than the class population. There's a variable population, and then there's a class population, uppercase, lowercase. And the class population holds the lowercase p variable population, and that particular variable has the DNA class associated to it. So we first associate, we first use the dataset class DNA, attach that to population. And then within the population class, we also, fitness, get phrase, DNA crossover, what is DNA? I guess here's the big question, is now I need to know what DNA is in the context that I'm able to use it here and I'm able to use it here. Why are we using it in two different sections? So INT, so a number right here, but DNA, INT, oh, the amount of genes. Oh, so DNA parentheses. Okay, so if we have this, so if I understand this correctly, we create DNA, an array of the class DNA to the population variable, and if this is correct, it might be wrong, but DNA right here, we're setting DNA integer number. We're going to set this to a set amount, to an array list size. Is that what it's correct? Is that what is happening? So, constructor makes a, which is 1, a random DNA. Not just 2, not 3, not 5, not 20, not 1,000, but 1. Why are we using 1 DNA? What is going on right here? Excuse me. The genetic sequence, I don't get, what does this mean specifically? So float fitness, so setting fitness to hold a decimal number. Okay, now I'm curious, I don't know what this DNA is representing right now, but I am curious about what fitness is representing. What is fitness representing here? void fitness, here's the function. Fitness, if we're using void, I am assuming that we are not applying fitness to hold any value, but apparently we are. That float, oh, so if we do float fitness, this function, okay, there's a very particular reason why he would set a data type for the fitness variable and then also have it as a the variable have the function fitness. That's curious. Why? Okay, so integer score here, what set score, reset score? I think that's the question that I have. There we go. Yeah. After this, we're going to do for integer I starting with 0 genes.length. What is genes.length? What are the genes itself? Again, simple things that I gotta understand before I can do anything more complex. Question, what are genes? So I need to go to wherever the genes section is, because here we're creating the character and array list for genes. There's no variable or type that's going to be holding the genes. Genes is going to hold certain characters within it. A certain array list of I'm assuming, a variety of characters. So you can probably have a float and an integer and a string. If that's the case, cool. If not, what's going on here? So genes equals new character. Oh. So is it that genes, again, holding a new character, we're going to add a random character. So if I was to apply this in another code, what I think would happen is by using this line and then printing that line, we would get a random, or genes equals new character in a num integer number, a random. Okay, so the DNA sequence that we initially start with has a certain amount of characters within it. It has let's just say 12, 13, or 14. Roughly 14 characters in the initial phrase to be or not to be, which is what you see here. Then we're creating genes. This genes, we're either going to add a new character to the genes list. It means that there's 14 characters we need to have. So we need to generate 14 different genetic structures inside of this one test. Is it that these 14 characters is the genetic source? Are we trying to add 32, 128? Pick a range of characters, 32 to 128. Okay, so we're going to, okay, so again, if this is correct, genes is supposed to hold a certain amount of characters of whatever the target is. And then within genes, I don't get why genes.length. I don't understand why it's genes.length. So are we setting the target to the genes? If we're not, then I'm curious as to what are we doing. But if we are, that's good. So I'm going to try to find target, because that's what I think should be happening here. Void fitness, string target. Target.character at at whatever that is. See, now I'm curious. Okay, so it's not in the DNA sequence, so I'm going to control find, and it's not. What? Oh, gotcha. String target. Target equals p. population I equals new DNA target dot length. Okay, see now we're getting somewhere. Maybe there's a simpler way of doing what he's doing right here. Because, again, I don't think that you need to have as many connections as he's using. You could probably make this entire code a lot simpler. So if we take literally what I would want if I was to use a different thing is I'm going to create a new just temporary code here, and I'm going to temporary code for testing. Just give it a description. I'm going to do void setup, and then void draw. Oh, that was wrong. There we go. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do size. I don't need to do canvas because I'm not going to be printing anything. But what I will be doing, okay, let's just do size 500, 250 by 250. And then with the draw function, what I would like to do is I'm going to, what I would like to initially do in the setup function, I'm also going to have I don't have to have a setup function at all, actually. So I'm going to push this down to the bottom. I was trying to do a lot more than I actually needed. I just have to have a print line and stuff. So I'm going to do print line, removing that P. Print line, what I want to print is target. I might have to change that variable, but I'm going to make float, no, integer, I guess. Integer target. I could just make it a float. There's string, that's what I want to do. String target equals hello world. And with this, what I want to do is use, what was that very specific phrase I had? Genes. Yes, genes. New character. An idea that I had is I would just, excuse me. What I'm trying to do here is that I want to have a random string. I want to have a random string that has the same amount of characters of another one. And each of the and that phrase that I'm going to be generating is going to hold a set amount of is going to hold the same amount of characters, but it's going to hold a random set of characters in it. Excuse me. So I'm very curious if I could just copy and paste this. So if I do copy and paste, paste. Okay. In character in genes equals, I don't know if I need to have this. I don't think I would need to have this at all. Integer. You know what, let me copy the entire thing. It makes a random DNA. That is the goal. Okay. Integer number. Why would I have to delete that? Play. Oh, DNA is not being set. It needs we need to first create it as a class before we can actually use it. So I don't think I need to have this one section. So I don't think I need to have that one section. I'll come right back to it if I need, I guess. This has not been established, so I need to create is integer number. Integer num semicolon. Save. I don't really need to save right now. May not be initialized. So what if I do genes? Save. Dang it. Okay, fine. We will save it. Temporary temp code. Play. Cannot convert a character into an integer. So what I would need to What? Oh, it is an integer. Okay, so this one position right here is an integer, but my question is, why is it doing what it's doing? Okay, so if I use num, then it should work, because it is an integer. The local variable in a UM may not be initialized. May not have been initialized. Why? I initialized it up here. It should have initialized right here. Unless I need, again, class. Yeah, that is weird. You know what, for the moment, I'm going to put a pin in that and comment it out. Boom, done. So genes, character.length. So what if I do target.length? So if I do target.length and just testing it around with it, the target equals hello world. So it should come out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 characters. 12 characters. The genetic sequence. So I don't think I need to have genes at all in this. So if I do target, no, if I do genes, how do I make it into an array list? I guess I did make it into an array list. So equals character random that save play. What is dot length? Cannot be resolved or is not a field. So the question I would have is, yeah, it's a movie. It's hard to explain, but there's a Bollywood movie called Bijario. Oh, that's a song. I have to listen to that one. It's a little dubstep stuff. But Bajiro Mastani, I wanted to check that movie out. So, again, it's irrelevant. It's not relevant. I try to compartmentalize things, and sometimes they overlap. Okay. With this, processing.org, and I'm going to type in not target, but I want to find out what length is. How do I find the length of a string? Okay, string length. Okay, maybe it's not dot length, but maybe, yes it is apparently. Yeah. Okay. So length with parentheses, string variable equals that string, a string. Data type string variable equals phrase. Integer variable equals string dot length. So what does that mean? 11 and 12, it prints 4 and 6. Because it is, See, now that's exactly what I wanted. I'm thinking it exactly the way that it is. So it would do less than or equal to target dot length. Target the dot length. Oh, I didn't put this part. I didn't put parentheses in here. I have no idea why it's doing what it's doing. Okay, it might be because it's an array list, and that might change what's going on. Instead of trying to find the characters within a certain phrase with dot length, or the amount of characters in a variable size, like if the number is literally 1000, 1000, if we did dot length with parentheses, we might come out with the number 4 characters in that value of 1000, 1000, yeah. But when you're using it as an array, it might not need to use the parentheses, which I am. Oh man, I'm feeling something like it's. Yeah, it's. It even worked out today, but it's one of those things that if it continues, I might have to go see a doctor. Ooh, let me pause because that's feeling really bad. It was one of those pains where I did need to take a break, but it was just the break relieved. But it was a different type of pain than I've ever felt. Let me pause it again. Yeah, and that one was a scam. So They usually, it's not that it's a scam, it's just I don't have their number, and they usually just call me. They have a number that's close, familiar numbers, so I don't know if they're actually using the local places that I lived once, and they're using those area codes to call me, but they're people I've never met before, so why are you using those area codes? Well, I have this phenomenal, what is it called? Voicemail. I have this phenomenal voicemail where it's, hey, leave me a text message, not a voicemail, and I repeat that twice. I don't receive voicemails anymore from those people who call me. It's amazing. Because you know what? If you really wanted to connect with me, you would leave a text message where I can get back to you on your own personal phone. Because if you're not willing to do that, I don't really need to be talking to you if you are not willing to have that, I guess, personal level. And it blocks away people with whom are just trying to do business or something. It's like, that's my personal phone. Stop calling me on my personal phone. I only have one phone, but it's okay, let's get right into this. Okay, let's see if I can remember what was happening before the whole shebang. Target.length. So what's happening in this for loop section right here is for integer I equals 0, so we're starting at 0. While I is less than 4, or what is it, hello world, 12, while I, 0, is less than target.length in parentheses, which is 12, as long as it's less than 12, add 1 to I. And what I would like to do is I would like to add a character to an array list. That is what I would like to do. So it's the simple things before I can start doing genetic algorithms, but it is one thing that if I wanted to create a genetic sequence, I need to know how to create the genetic sequence with a set amount of characters, and then with those set amount of characters, for example, I used my nail. I just scraped the outside of the ear, but I just did it really quick. Yeah, I just used the nail and I really quickly. I'm not gonna bleed, but dang, that freaking hurt. Okay. If I go to boxcar2d.com and then I use Flash, allow. There we go. Okay. With Boxcar2D, what is going on right here is that this is a website that is generating a random car, axles, size, like with 8 different locations of the car. There can be up to 3 or even 4 wheels on the car, different size of wheels, different strength for each one, etc. And the entire objective is, oh my gosh, it's rocking itself to glory. Wow. Okay. And again, it's just randomly testing. And if I take the genetic structure, that one looked almost pretty decent. If I take copy current best and I go into input, it paused everything. So if I go in here and paste the genetic code that came up, ENQZF1M997D, and then you multiply that about 10 or 1,200,000 times. There's a lot of characters that are happening in this one genetic structure. In the processing here, the original target that I have has a maximum of 12 characters rather than ENQZ times 100,000 other letters. So instead of this amount of instead of these characters, this quantity of characters in this code. What I would want to do, what I'm trying to do right now, is have it with only 12 instead of that jumbled mess. And what I want to do is I want to create a random character for each of those character placeholders. So in this new variable, not target, let's go with, that's the target, let's go with genes. So genes has to be a specific variable. Do I make genes? Yeah. Okay. So what might be happening here is that we're creating genes not to have a set amount of all 12 of those characters, but we are going to have it where genes creates a random character 12 times. So again, we always start with 0 in programming, but we as people, we always start with 1, so we just have to subtract it. So instead of going from 1 to 200, we would go from 0 to 199. So it's like that's a chunk of 200. People would normally go with 1 to 200. The code in programming, not just processing, but programming, in code, it's always starting at 0. So 0 to 199 is 200. So it's little tiny shifts like that are very important to understand in the grand scheme of things, or probably in the here and now. Okay, so genes, what I'm going to be doing is I want to create genes to be an array list. So my question would be, how do we create an array list? Because the array list is that we're going to give it, maybe the list might in the code appear like this, or from left to right with commas that are separating them all. But my question would be, I guess that's left to right. I don't know if this is your left to right. So let's see that. Left to right. So yeah, that looks weird. I'm just going to have to, so left to right, this would be my left to right. So from your left to right. But I want to get an array list of 12 values, 12 individual characters. Each value having one individual character. So my question back from Boxcar2D, I want to go to processing.org, and I'm going to type in array list. Array list. An array, creating an array. Do I have to make it into a data type? Wow, that's a lot of comments. Oh, that's a lot of comments. Okay, that's a lot. I want to choose something a little bit more simple. Arrays. Let's try that. This looks better. Okay, I'll try this one. No. Stop. What? I know what happened. Okay. Let's go here. It switched browsers on me. So it opened up a new browser. I'm using a different browser than Google Chrome. I'm not a fan of Google Chrome anymore because they track you. I just don't want to give, I have no reason to give them my information. I want to give them as little information as possible. So I'm not using their stuff. Arrays, processing. Okay. I think we're better. I think this is good. Okay, let's see if this works. Yeah, the other one had a lot of comments. This one has a lot of text. I know it sounds weird initially. Okay, so an array, integer x0, 50. So if we were to do integer, oh, that's interesting. Okay, so if I was to do an integer, what I want to do is give it a character. So that's exactly what I want to do right here. So this code right here is happening on the left hand, is happening here. Is character, yeah, the data type with an array, and then you give it the value, but I'm not setting this variable to have any set values within it in the array list. I'm setting it as an array list. So this is how, yeah. So I want to do a genetic sequence. Creating an array. There we go. And what I want to do is within this array, I want to add a random character on the keyboard, from the space to lowercase d to capital F to lowercase g to an apostrophe or something. and I want to use all those characters and randomize them into a set sequence of 12 values, because that is the length of our target goal, which is hello world. Again, I'm not doing any of the genetic algorithm. I just want to figure out how to set an array to have a random set of values. That's all that I'm doing, is as what it was stated earlier, is a constructor here. So if this is a constructor, and then this is the DNA sequence, this is the DNA value, like DNA here, or population right there. This is, so when we set at the over here, capital P population with lowercase p population, this capital P population is giving all of these values to this variable. So I need to know what's going on with this DNA sequence. So whenever we go over here and we give population this DNA array list, is this population having a set amount of genes that are associated to it, and how many array lists are inside of that population within that lowercase p population? I have to say lowercase p population rather than capital P population. I would love to change the characters. I'm just not doing it right now, because I don't. What do I change them to? And if again, if it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm going to save and play. The local variable genes may not be initialized. Why? Why is it not? What if I change character? What if... No. Yeah, see, it's these little type of activities that get me so freaking frustrated about what's going on. What's going on here? What does this even mean? You know what? Because the reason that I'm getting so frustrated is that I want to move on. I don't want to stay at white belt. I want to move on to black belt. I want to move on to purple belt, brown belt. I want to move on to a different belt other than the belt that I currently have. If I was associating this with karate or taekwondo or something, I don't want to remain where I am at. And if I'm just continuously poking and prodding and I see no progress, that is very disturbing. I'm glad that I was able to verbalize what I was feeling just a moment ago, because I would normally give up because of how frustrated it is to constantly find problems and not progressing. I don't mind if I have problems. I don't know if there's I don't mind if there's a challenge that's afoot. I want to see progress. That when I do something, I don't want to have 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. That's annoying. It's like, okay, well, I did that. Well, here's another 2 steps forward and another 5 steps back. Here's another 2 steps forward and another 5 steps back. And it's like, why did I even start doing this if that's what's going on? It's not it's not programming of like, oh wow, all this code is amazing. It's that even if I find it amazing, I can't do anything with it, because every time that I progress, this very simple momentary lapse of judgment in the moment, in the time right now, of thinking that because I am failing constantly, not being able to progress or to the level of that which I feel, therefore why even try? This is the reason for, this is the, what was it called? This is the reason for the reason people become either rich or poor, broke or wealthy. This is the reason that makes the, what is the phrase called? It's not, this is the reason that makes, this is the difference that makes the difference in the quality of people's lives. That was the quote I was looking for. It's the simple of, okay, I have had a pattern of failure here. I have had not a momentary lapse, but I've had a pattern of objective failure. Maybe I have progressed, but I'm feeling like, okay, it's not working, and then that starts being blown up out of proportion. I could take a break, but what I want to do is I just want to relax for a second. Just Okay. That was it. Boom. Because I need to articulate what's going on, what I think would be a better idea or path of direction in my head of perspective about what's happening right now. The path to take right now. I may be wanting and needing, pressing myself, burdening myself, feeling so pressured to do it because of the years that I haven't. And it gets annoying that I have to keep waiting to progress in a significant role that I want. What about this? What if I've been able to wait for such a long time, it's not because I've been waiting, it's because of my lack of consistent action. It has nothing to do with the amount of success that I receive now. It's the amount of action I've been taking on a consistent basis towards my goal rather than anything else. If I go to YouTube and just start listening to random videos or videos that pique my attention, and then an hour or two later I realize that I didn't get anything that needed to get done, that the reason I started watching a YouTube video, shiny object syndrome, is that I didn't cut off the unnecessary tasks that were not dedicated to an objective goal that I had long term. Wow. And again, my objective is to learn how to trade. Okay? It might be this, it might not be this, but I want to learn how to do this for actually two reasons. I don't want to share this because it's vulnerable. This is my goal, I don't want to share it. But I feel like if I don't share it, it's not the fact of somebody watching this video or not. My last video, the videos that I've been making, 0 views, 1 view. That's probably me. I just happened to click on it, and it's like trying to edit something about it before I published it. 0 views I've been getting for these videos I've been making. So even if somebody does find it and then steals my ideas or something, what needs to happen is that I don't have an idea yet. I have impulses. I do have ideas in my head, but if I'm not using them, and then someone else uses the ideas that I have not been putting into practice, if you have an idea, don't put it into practice, sit on the sidelines, and then someone uses your idea to make success, can you look at them and say, you stole my idea? You weren't doing anything with it. Well, it's my idea, and I deserve to just keep it. Okay? Even if what they did was steal your personal property, your intellectual property, what were you doing with it? You have an idea on how to create a new business. You have an idea of what government needs to be changing. You have an idea of what society needs to be doing. And then you sit on the sidelines. Someone else takes your idea and runs with it the way that you don't want it to be run. What are you doing about it? I guess that's the most important part, is that I could sit on the sidelines and continue bitching, moaning, whining, complaining, which is a very productive manner when it is directed at something. Get yourself out and start complaining about it, and then act right then and there on what to do next. Okay? You don't have to bitch, whine, moan, and complain just for the sake of doing it. Do it, and then when you're done, act in a different manner to change the results in your life. So here's the thing. If I am receiving these results in my life that I feel so frustrated, how about if I changed how I felt? How about I change the way that I'm feeling about this, changing my thoughts, changing the perspective, changing what I'm maybe thought was such a big thing to me. Maybe it's actually very minor in the grand scheme of things, that maybe if I just place this one pebble, maybe I'm thinking of this as like a boulder. I need to focus on this. But if I change that neurological shift of size into a small pebble, oh wow, it's not that big of a deal. Because you know what? There's going to be another one. And 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 we repeat this process, we'll eventually get to the weight of a boulder. But when we shrink it all down, the problem tends to go away. Wow. How amazing that is. So, what if I focus on... So what I was wanting to do... So I guess I still have the same question. It's just now me being flustered by it is no longer a situation right now. It might come back up. Yeah. Well, the question is, where do I go from here? If I don't know what this was doing, and I was going down this rabbit trail trying to explore as much as possible, if I give up trying to learn how to make an actual gene, it's like, what if this is one thing that maybe I can dedicate today to learning as much as I possibly can with how to create the genetic sequence that is aligned with the objective goal that I have of each day learn and apply information ideas from genetic algorithms, a genetic sequence, a certain amount of characters and slash or array that's going to hold certain values for the testing and genetic algorithm process. So my question would be, how do I make a genetic sequence of 10 of whatever the character amount is in this with this variable target, and how do I make another character with those with the number of characters the variable target has? Ooh, okay, so pick a range of characters. Yes. What if I do the letter A? It doesn't have to be big, I just need to know how much it is. So it's only going to have this. What if I do string? Save, play. Cannot convert from character to string. What if I do, okay, character, save, play. May not have been initialized. Okay, what about just that? Length cannot be resolved or is not a field. Whatever that means. So, because maybe it is because of fitness. Maybe, man, talking is actually vibrating the hairs inside of my hair. Talking is vibrating the hairs inside of my nose. Oh. And it's just like somebody tickling me. Somebody like having a feather and then like poking it inside of my nostril, and it feels weird. Oh, it feels weird, man. It's not sickness or anything. It's just it felt weird. Okay. Okay. Why does this work? And again, is there an easier code to take, but I do have processing. I'm using processing. I'm thinking about if I go to GitHub and then try to find another genetic algorithm, I might be able to solve it better. The thing is that I've made a lot of progress, and just giving up would not bode well with me. I would not enjoy that. So how about this? I continue breaking down what I can within the code rather than being hung up about one particular subject within the code. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to not focus on it. What if I can dissect other pieces that might be connected to it? Maybe this fitness POW2 comma score is not relevant at all to the DNA sequence right here, the constructor, because the DNA is population is using DNA as an array list. So my question would be, yeah, I think it would be important just to do as much as I possibly can today, because tomorrow I may not be, I don't know if I'm going to be either leaving it later tonight, which I most likely will be leaving tomorrow morning, because I am just tired. Sleep was a thing. Sleep was a thing. So I'm going to go with processing, and I'm going to, that's why I'm yawning a lot, because sleep was just weird. Huh. That's weird. Okay, so facilitates so the POW parentheses, I have no idea. Facilitates exponential expressions. The POW function is an efficient way of multiplying numbers by themselves, or the reciprocals in large quantities. For example, POW, excuse me, which I keep thinking prisoner of war. That's why it's like POW, POW. 3, 5 is equivalent to expression of 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 equal, and POW, POW, 3, negative 5 is equivalent to 1 divided by 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So why is there, in this DNA sequence about void fitness, why is there whatever the score is, we're going to do 2. Okay, so the score of fitness, I don't want to be POW. I don't. That's weird. Okay. So if a character, I'm assuming, a character with inside, what are genes? Oh, gotcha. That's a question that I do have, but I don't really have that question anymore. If genes, I know that kind of contradicts itself, but it's a question I still have, but it's not important. That's what I meant to say. So genes, equals character at. So I'm assuming that CHAR, capital AT in parentheses, is noting the character's location with the target. So with the variable that it's using. So if there was A, B, C, D, E, if the character at number 2, which would be 0, 1, 2, if we match those up, we would get A, B, C, or 0, 1, 2. So C would be the value within genes. So if this 1 equals this, then we add to score. What I want to do is just add to score. There's no... Why? Yeah. What if I change this? What if I remove that and make this? Fitness equals fitness. No, what if I just remove it? What if I return, yeah, fitness, boom, that's it. Score, fitness equals score. That's all I need right there. Fitness equals score. I don't need anything fancy. Play. Look at that average fitness. Look at that average fitness. Oh, I'm loving that. Oh, but I'm not loving what's happening here. Okay, because, oh, wait a second. I think I broke it again. Yeah, because there should have been only like up to 500 generations. We're at now 1,200. Average fitness and apparent, again, I probably broke it because it wasn't intending it to do what it did. Is that correct? Am I wrong? Am I wrong here? Save and play. 19 generations and a total average fitness of 98254. So maybe there is an activity that's happening within the code. And again, these small little understandings of what's actually happening in the code can help me make an easier, simpler line of a genetic algorithm, seeing what's going on by trying to understand intimately what is happening within the code. So the average fitness is 98,000, okay, whatever that is for. Maybe that there's a command or a function that's happening due to a set number of whatever that fitness score is. So whatever the fitness score is, it has to break a certain point before we move on to a new generation, or even before we stop. We might find what it is, but once we find it, then what? So what if I do maximum? Yeah, let's do fitness. Just randomly here. Whatever the maximum is, minimum. And I'm going to put score or 100,000. Because we have 90 a lot. See, the generation keeps going. Huh. Okay, so what if I do it this way? I remove this, and I'm just playing around with the POW. What if I make this 1.1 rather than 2? Save play. Okay, what if I make this 1.5? Save play. Oh, that is interesting. What if I make it 1.9? 1.9, because it's very close to 2. Is it a float that might get in the way of it? And it keeps going. What if I make this into a 3 instead of a 2? Yep, same thing, same issue. Why is the number 2 the only thing that's going to work when using this exponential? And whatever the score is... Oh! Huh! Okay, so 2... I didn't really get this the first time because I was so focused on making fitness a fixed number rather than trying to dissect POW, which is using the number 2 and then comma, or to the exponential, to the exponent of whatever the score is. I wasn't thinking of 2 to the exponent of whatever that score number is. Huh. I don't want to know what the average fitness is. What I would like to know is whatever the current fitness is. Yeah. Yeah. So what I want to do here is go to the display info. The average fitness, I don't want get average fitness, but that's what we're printing. So going to get average fitness in the population. Excuse me, get best, get average fitness. Total population.length. What is population.length? Total population.fitness. If I go over here where this one was, in fitness, in this section, it's taking this, and then it's giving that value. So I need to do POW equals score. No, POW score multiplied by 2. Huh. Let me change that, and if that doesn't work or that doesn't do anything, you know what? It's been a productive day to work through some issues. Yeah. The whole point is come back to it. See, there's another issue. That is boggling. That is very curious. I'm very curious about that. See, the higher number that goes, I don't know why that's being stuck around 300. It's interesting. So if I do score, see, the thing is, I don't want to have this. What I would like to have instead is just a fixed number of what the score is, because the average fitness is changing. I want to have a fixed number, or do I? No, you only get a fitness score of 1 whenever, if I really wanted to be very complicated with this, I could do it where, depending on how close the character is to the target character, meaning if I am wanting to have the letter A, but I get a letter Z, then there would be 24, 26, whatever that character is, however many is in between. I had this issue before. Let me figure it out. I think it's 26. Letters in alphabet. I think it's 26. 27th. Wait, no, 26. Consisting of 26 letters. There's a lot of questions of what is the 27th letter of the alphabet. 26. So there would be a score of, let's just say, 25 is 25 divided by 25 equals 1. So 1 would be the highest, fittest character for that character. I think that would be interesting of something to do. That would be very interesting. So what I'm going to do in this code is I'm going to go back to the original at the very top and yes, notes. What if the fitness score changed was based upon, again, there's the train. That train happens 6 to 8 times a day. It's annoying. Okay, so what if the fitness score was based on... Yeah, I probably need to go back to bed, man. Sleep was a weird thing for me. So what if the fitness score was based on the distance from the desired character? Example, if A is the goal, then and Z is what we got. Then we would have a score of 1 divided by 26. Or uh, 0.0384. I think it's, yeah, 5 or something like that. And it's interesting. I was thinking about if we kept rounding it up, which is an idea that I had. If we kept rounding a number from a one decimal spot, and then we just kept doing that, rounding it again, rounding it again, rounding it again. I'm curious if we could bump up a few, like it would just be weird for me to, because it challenges something that happened I remember in elementary school that I was wrong about a problem because of something very specific about rounding it, and I kept asking the teacher, well, what about about rounding it? It's like, if it's not this number, then it isn't, any decimal is not the integer. And I just kept asking that question. What about what about like if you do 5 at 5.0, it is 5. But with 4.9 is not 5, but when we round it, it does, or 5.85. If we round it, it would be 5.9 or something, but it's still not 5 or something. And I just, what about 5.85? I remember that one specific moment. The things that I remember in elementary school. I got made fun of a lot. I didn't really get made fun of a lot. I just probably kept myself to myself so much that I had to make it seem like people were making fun of me, to make it seem like people cared. That's sad. That's horrible. I don't think that's true, but that would make me feel better, actually. Okay. So if A is the goal and Z is what we got, then the score would be 1 out of 26, or 0.0385. So I think that would be a more phenomenal score, because that would mean that we don't have to get an exact number of A. That it doesn't just continue randomizing. We use that number, and it either goes up or down. If it's a number that goes up, if it's a number that goes closer to A, fantastic. Then we use that higher fitness value, and we use that for the basis of the next generation to start testing and manipulating and mutating it. How to get there would be an interesting thing. It's just, that's more of an idea that I would love to put in place and see how I could use that. This seems to be taking a lot longer than I thought originally, but it's one of those moments that I can learn from my mistakes that this is going to take time. And then once I gain the momentum, again, 2 to 5 years later, I have a lot of, again, programming knowledge under my belt and ideas, but I don't have the application under my belt. That's the important point, is that I'm actually not even just a novice, I am probably below a novice. Somebody who is 5 or 6 might be able to understand a lot more what's going on, but if I'm trying to get an intimate knowledge of what's going on within the code, and in describing it the way that I need to describe, maybe I need to describe it differently. Maybe I need to describe it better. Maybe there's a better way of describing what's going on rather than continuously repeating myself over and over. Maybe the continuous nature of describing things that I already know is not helping. Maybe it is helping, but again, not having the amount of application and experience under my belt is what's slowing me down. And all I need to do to speed myself up is to gain that experience. So again, it might just take time. There's a few ways that we can look at it. We need to know what the better answer is rather than just the correct answer. If we just try to find what the correct answer is, one correct answer, we are missing out on other opportunities, other options of what can be correct. Sometimes there is only one answer. Sometimes there is no answer. Sometimes there are by default hundreds of permutations that can come about from this one simple activity. And that's how we get a genetic algorithm, or the activity of a genetic algorithm. We get so many permutations, so many sorts of answers that come about from it. Total generations, 21. If I press play again, total generations is going to come out as 44. So different random actions is going to produce different results, and this one took a little bit longer, even if it was half a second longer. Maybe even a fraction of that second longer, of that half second longer. So again, we're at the 1 hour mark. It felt like I went backwards. But here's a really cool thing. What is something that I can end off with as on a positive note, so I can use this as a level of success of being able to learn? One, I was able to articulate frustration that I was having. Any single person that can do that, articulate how you're frustrating, rather than bottling it up and being frustrated and outlashing physically, which I have done in the past. I'm glad that I've been able to do that. Check. That's a success. That is a success. So applauding for myself. Yay! What another success would be is that I didn't allow it to deter me from continuing. Maybe I wasn't able to continue with that particular topic, but it didn't prevent me from continuing with other aspects of programming. That is a success. I don't really feel like it's a success, but I feel like that can't not be a success. Like, that's true. And the more I start repeating and the more that I start to acknowledge the certain successes that I've achieved, it doesn't mean that I haven't failed. I have failed pretty magnificently today. I have probably even failed objectively in other people's minds of what they could point to as correct as embarrassing. That could be something that other people could see as for me. But for what I'm going to be recognizing, that's the important part, it's not about whether or not something is true or false, but what I will recognize is, it's one of the reasons why people are either happy or sad, depending, is like they're looking at the world, but they don't have to look at the world that way. They're recognizing certain aspects about life. So if someone beats up somebody on the side of the street, just like as an example, Andy No, who's beat up by Antifa, you don't have to be pissed off about that. I mean, he has every right to be, but it doesn't seem like he's pissed off. It seems like he's just in a daze of like, he cannot believe that it actually happened to him. And he might think he has some brain issues. They're not lacerations, but there is a hemorrhaging. I don't know if he's continuously being hemorrhaged or there was hemorrhaging in the brain, and that's why he has some brain. His brain has been altered. The mind has been altered for him that he might not be able to function at 100% yet. I don't know if he can even get back to 100%. That's one of the dangerous things. But we don't have to be pissed off about that. You don't have to recognize that as truth. You can recognize the danger. You can recognize the horror. You can recognize it. But you don't have to emotionally be impacted by it in that light. You can be emotionally impacted that I'm really glad that what happened to him is that he is now going viral in all the right places. His video, his attack, his assault was caught on camera. That's a good thing. I'm glad that he got assaulted on camera. I'm not glad that he got assaulted at all. But if he was going to be assaulted, I'm glad he got it on camera. Multiple viewpoints. There are two angles specifically. One in front of him, one to about a 120-degree angle of it, and it's literally just following him. So we get to see all the people involved. They're on camera. That's good. Imagine it would be much worse if it wasn't caught on camera. We wouldn't know what was going on with the situation. That's a good thing that we do now know. I'm glad it was caught on camera. I can be pissed off again at Antifa, but I can laugh. I can understand the danger that they are objectively, but I can also laugh that they're grown children. Again, grown children, it's kind of an oxymoron. They're children who are living in a fantasy world. They're live action role playing. And it's like D&D, you're playing an RPG game, you're role playing a specific character in a set world, like a dystopian future. I could role play as Katniss Everdeen or whoever Peeta was or something in the Hunger Games, and there's this, and like actors role play a specific character on film. What's going on with live action role playing is that you are enacting out physically what it is without any camera. So it's like an actor scene. You all know that it's fake, but you all pretend as though and immerse yourself in that game. There's a few games that I would highly recommend. Dystopian Rising, I think, is one. It's like a zombie game and people torture you and stuff. I was one of those. I was being tortured, and everybody. It's a very consensual game, very consensual thing. It's, hey, would you like to be tortured? They ask you, and if you don't, they don't torture you. And all of it is just like playing it out, like, ah, ha, ha, we're evil people, and then afterwards we're all like laughing and applauding people, like, man, that was actually pretty good. That was pretty good. So it's like a bunch of actors that come together when LARPing in a good sense. But these Antifa people are LARPing. I don't have to be pissed off at them. I can just say how silly they are. If they were in my vicinity, there are certain emotions I need to have, like flight or fight, but mostly get out of there. Make certain I'm safe. Okay? There's no need to attack people who have militant garb. Garb is another phrase for outfit or uniform. But garb is specifically for, like, role-playing or something. It's like you would have a costume. But they would have literally militant activities where they could, fiberglass gloves where it's meant for punching and meant for protecting themselves, but it's like, you think that's a good thing and we're catching you on film. I'm not laughing because you were attacking somebody. I'm laughing because you're attacking somebody on camera. That's a good thing. That's a great thing. Now we know that there's a connection between the Democrats, or at least there's somebody funding. There is somebody funding Antifa. And again, I'm glad it was caught on camera. I'm glad there's more and more transparency in the world. And I don't need to talk about politics again. I want to separate these as much as possible, but I might eventually just make one live long stream where I'm just talking about both politics, ranting about politics, but then I go back to this. And you don't have to be, again, I want to make a lot of asterisks. I want to make a lot of comments of like, well, just because I'm ripping on Antifa doesn't mean that you can't be this political ideology and whatnot, but leaving that kind of to the side is that going back to this is, I don't have to be pissed off that I didn't achieve the level of success that I wanted and expected and was so consumed by at the very beginning of this day. I don't have to be consumed by that. So it's like, that's amazing. Like, you don't have to be a victim of your past. Really? Huh. You don't have to be pissed off at this situation. You can be frustrated. You can acknowledge it intellectually and conceive a certain level of understand the horror of the situation, but you don't have to feel that way. You can feel how best it makes you more into a productive, powerful individual. Sometimes anger is appropriate, just like earlier. I don't know what's going on. How do I get this working? I got frustration and I was fleeing. Oh, there's a moment of anger. I gotta get away from this because I don't know how to handle myself. But you know what? Sometimes there's anger where I need to achieve this, and if I don't, it's going to be bad. Like, that type of level sometimes is good. And right now, I was doing flight. There's no reason to flee. I can come back and continuously learn a different and new way of how to achieve it. It's like, I could even think of it where I didn't even achieve anything today. I beg to differ. There's something that is phenomenal. I started writing my own code here. I failed to achieve anything within this code, but I opened up my own console, or whatever this is called. I opened up my own programming tab. I opened up my new console, whatever it is again called. I opened it up. I started typing, and then I tested it. It didn't work. I started testing it. It didn't work. I looked in the reference guide. You can do everything correct and still fail. That's the important part. You might be doing everything correct and still fail, which means that all you have to do is continue doing that process. Sometimes what you're doing may need to change. Maybe I was looking in the reference book, I was looking at the wrong places in the reference book. That might have been the wrong thing. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have looked at other pieces of code before I started testing. See, there's knowing when to change and knowing when to not change. Knowing when you're right and knowing when you're wrong. There's no one set level or activity that's going to happen for everybody in any given moment. The wisdom is knowing which one's which. Am I right in this position, or am I wrong? And if I'm right and I'm communicating in a wrong fashion, then I know that I'm wrong. Because I can be right and then be stuck up. I can be arrogant. I can look at as appearing weak by tearing somebody down. And just because I have the right answer doesn't mean that I'm actually creating a better solution. I might be actually making the situation worse by demoralizing and demeaning another person for the sake of me displaying how correct I am. Okay, so what if I'm correct and the other person's wrong, but they're trying to figure it out and they want my help? Me saying, oh, you don't know what I know, that's not going to help the situation. The situation is to help them. The situation is not to just help me, but to help others. It's not just about me, it's about others as well. So maybe I got too stuck up, focused on what I wanted, rather than trying to focus on how to be more entertaining, rather than trying to be more educational onto a more of a brevity of people, rather than just me and maybe just you. Maybe there's another person who can also be added into the conversation that might be very relevant to the topic at hand. Those, I believe, are really good questions, and there's always something new that we can find out what we can do with. Again, there's a bit. If you put 10 programmers in a room, you'll come out trying to solve a problem. You'll come out with 11 different definitions or 11 different algorithms, code on how to achieve or solve the problem. 11 different solutions from 10 people, because there's no one way of doing it. That's the whole thing. There's no one way to code. There's no one way. There are set ways to do it if you do certain actions. But then once you do that action, you can then do different actions from there that must be in a set way, but you can then, it starts to become more modular the more code you have. More set pieces can be in a different location and different times at when the code is executed, and so on and so forth. There's more ways that you can do it, the more permutations of possibilities, the more code you have. The more that you continue doing it, the more that you continue to grow, the more that you continue to test, the greater chances and greater odds you will be becoming more of a successful human being, successful person, successful professional, a success, period, a successful mother, father, brother, sister, parent, uncle, aunt, their family member. There's so many levels and ways to succeed that all you have to do is just keep testing it. Keep trying. If it didn't work, try again. That was one test down. Boom, we have another day to try to find a way to succeed. And once you've succeeded, use that as a momentum to carry yourself into greater levels of success. Yeah. Instead of trying to focus on how to create a code, now that you can write a code successfully, how can you tweak it where it's easier to read for other people? How can I contribute on other people's code and making branches where people can come and then be invited to explore the code as well, rather than just me trying to figure out how to do it myself? And again, once you get to a certain level of success, how can you get to the next level? How can you get to the next level? So on and so forth. All you have to do is keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming. So thank you very much for being a part of this. Hopefully it was entertaining. Hopefully it was educational. Hopefully it was something for you. And if it wasn't, Good thing, because we're at the very end of the video. So, if you will, please hit that. Please post your comments, questions, and concerns right down below. It helps the YouTube algorithm. And if you would, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button, because that would greatly help this channel out. And while you enjoy the rest of your day, I will see you next time.